Good morning and welcome to Saturday special of Dr. Lamba's Awakening. This year completes a century of an extremely artistic, poetic, plastic art and yoga specialization. This is a century when a Russian couple was attracted towards Himalayas. We are aware that since times immemorial, the mystical Himalayas have been a source of inspiration, and all the spiritual leaders have made a visit to Himalayas, stayed there, meditated there. These spiritual truth seekers mostly have been recluses, but then in the last century, an extraordinary Russian couple, extraordinary, you will find it. Nicholas Roerich and his wife Helena Roerich, they came to India and settled in Kullu. There's a village there, Nagar. It's in Kullu Valley in Himachal Pradesh. And that became the place of residence and the place of work for this couple from Russia to Kullu, from communism to a free country. But there was no communism at that time when they came. It had later on happened. Anyway, according to Helena, Kullu became her Karmbhumi and Tapabhumi. Karmbhumi is a place where you work, and Tapabhumi is a place where you worship, where you meditate. So this Russian couple was artistic, as I said. Nicholas was a great, renowned painter. He was an explorer and a peace promoter. And his wife Helena was a spiritual person, spiritual quests, a seeker for truth. And 1920, just a few years after the Russian Revolution, Helena, in partnership with her husband and under the guidance of her guru, including Helena Blavatsky, who was responsible for setting up Theosophical Society, she started a new movement called Agni Yoga. And that's a century I'm talking about today. We complete 100 years of Helena Roerich's Agni Yoga. Agni Yoga is yoga of the fire. Agni is fire in India. Now, basically, this new movement, which she started, became an international movement. It has fallen on the wayside now, but this was not called Agni Yoga by her. Agni Yoga was a name given later on. In the beginning, it was called Living Ethics. Now, the beauty is she was not only a spiritual seeker, but she was a great writer. She wrote 14 volumes, and all of them are a explanation of the concept of Agni Yoga, which she called in her own way the living ethics, the way you live by. And then Agni, fire is considered holy, it's a purifier. And it's not only in India, but in all cultures and in all faiths around the world. Fire is presumed to have the power of purification. And according to her, the yoga connected with fire would purify the human beings, purge them of all the evils, and make them much nearer to the spiritual person. But then basically, her spiritualism was pantheism, the worship of nature, which I have talked about. No person called God, but yourself, your soul. So, this concept of Agni as a purifier, according to them, according to Helena especially, was the ultimate goal of human life. Because through the process of fire, you are refined and you receive enlightenment, illumination. If the fire is the fire of pain, suffering on one side, and the fire of seeking on the other. The combination of the two fire. This is a rare thing. Normally, people talk of fire as purifying, but they do not differentiate in the two fires. And the path and practice to leading this goal, she calls merging with the divine fire. This yoga teaches the practitioner to attain increasingly subtle values of consciousness. And not only that, but ascend on the path of spiritual evolution from oneself to cosmic self. And that's what I was writing yesterday in my thought. That once you are connected with the cosmic self, when you can partake of the beauty of nature, you become at one with nature. And this is what she says in Agni Yoga. The best way to know Agni Yoga is that it's a yoga of the heart. It's not twisting the limbs of the body. It's not accepting the postures, contortions, the physical one. It is really the meditative aspect. And Helena calls the heart, which we call the mind, as the temple of humanity. The pure heart, unsullied by the other sins, what they call it, and I'll call it the temporal issues. And according to her, the human heart has a power to clean and redeem. Being a temple of humanity, it has love and compassion, it has devotion and prayer, and is a superior enabler of human evolution than the intellect can be. But we always say in common language, gut feeling, your feeling which comes instantly, evokes in you the response, not a result of thought, but instinctive. Because man is instinctively honest. He learns to be dishonest later. So this temple of humanity is worshipped and kept clean through the process of fire. And the development of energy of heart, according to her, is called Anat Chakra. Anat is unending process. There's no end to it. It keeps on and on. You clean it today and there's something going to happen to it in the next moment. So it has to be a 24 by 7 process. So what it requires, first and foremost, ethical self transformation. You don't need a spiritual guru. You don't need the prophets. You are your own prophet. And the people who can be their own prophets are the real human beings because they seek to rectify themselves. The so called prophets, they try to rectify themselves, but their followers who took upon them the mission of spreading their creed had ulterior motives. And that's why the original religion lost its meaning. In the dreary sand of the time, greed, avarice, the real religion lost the meaning. And that she says that another chakra requires a continuous self transformation, and that would should include self cleaning. It's again, if I compare to a computer, clean up the hard disk and defragment the hard disk regularly, optimize the hard disk, and that would enable you to be a better person. So, what? How to clean it up? Which files are useless? The files are, according to her, arrogance, but not confidence, not real ego, but superficial one, anger, falsity, selfishness, and violence. These are the things which are animalistic, and they tie you to the ground level, not only ground but the gross level of existence. So, Agni Yoga is a process of cleaning your mind, keeping it clean, but not cut off from the world. You are a part of the world. And it can exhort you further to cultivate luminous qualities. These are her words, luminous qualities. And they connect with the far off higher worlds. And what are those? Truthfulness, faithfulness, compassion, mercy, and control of your emotions. The joyful service not only of others, but all interconnected forms of life. Exactly what I was saying the other day. Connect with nature, connect with all forms of life, connect with the cosmos. And that is the redeeming feature of Agni Yoga. And that's why I believe in Agni Yoga more than the contortion of the body, which is good, I'm not denying it. But the real thing, the spiritual, the mental, the intellectual thing, and it's not running away from the world. I was quite interested when I read this. And she wrote, the hygiene of the heart is premised on good deeds for the welfare of humanity. So, being a part of the humanity, if you do not care for the welfare of humanity, you can't care for yourself. It's a trustworthy timepiece that calls to take care about everyone and everything. Basically, what Keats said, a thing of beauty is joy forever. Helena repeats it and says that the creation of beauty is important since it's the garment of truth. So beauty is truth, truth is beauty. And if you're authentic yourself, if you read my book, Technology of Being Human, and Technology of Being Human is available on Amazon, I've mentioned how you need to be authentic. And this is what she says that the garment of truth has to be worn by your mind. Then your company that you have, truth seekers, not false, honest to the core, authentic. And individual effort, she says, is contributing to the group effort because individual effort would generate the group effort. Now, here's the difference in the other. They say the group effort should generate the individual effort. But Helena says no. Group effort would not impact individuals because the moment you are away from the group, that impact will be over. So let it be the other way. Let the individual efforts of all combined lead to the good effort. And Agni Yoga emphasizes this fact: solidarity and a common psychic energy. The psychic energy from her is not that of astrologers and others, but this is the power of the mind. and we know that the power of mind can move mountains. She doesn't want you to ignore the obstacles, she welcomes them. Because according to her, obstacles are the process of growth. Those walking with the force of life must know that without a tense battle, there is no victory. Excellent. How can you be victorious if you have not fought? If you run away from the battlefield, you are a coward. So, in these 100 years, what has happened? The Agni Yoga communities have been active in many parts of the world, including Russia. But while they were alive, like all great people, they were criticized, they were misunderstood, and at one time, Soviet Russia made it a crime to read Helena, Roerich, or to display the pictures painted by Nicholas Roerich. This ban was ultimately lifted by Michael Gorbachev, who came up with the concept of glasnost. And this was because his wife, Reza, was a devoted student of Agni Yoga. Gorbachev called Roerich, both husband and wife, as two gifted children, and they called them ultimately the cultural pillars of Russia and the ambassadors of the heart between India and Russia. So this couple, one by the painting, the other by the concept of Agni Yoga, revived the ancient scriptures in a proper form, in a proper way, so that the people, devoid of all these ceremonial aspects, can concentrate. And Agni Yoga concept can purify and make people better human beings, enable them to be better. What more can we need? This concept of Agni Yoga and the work done by Roerich is of paramount importance. And this century, 1920, the concept came, 2020 is there. It is still a beacon light for the human beings. And why not? After mind can make hell out of heaven and heaven out of hell. Thank you.